gracious hosts, unique lodging, and tasty cuisine. New Mexico bed and breakfasts are New Mexico true. Our innkeepers are as special as New Mexico, and we're sharing their stories. Read about them and plan your trip at nmbba.org. Welcome to Big Blend Radio. Every second Thursday, we get to go to New Mexico, the land of enchantment. And if you go to New Mexico, one of the things you want to do is stay in a bed and breakfast. You're guaranteed to have a unique, actual unique experience, an authentic stay. And you hear a lot about, if you're on social media, you'll see the hashtag New Mexico True. And that's what these bed and breakfasts do. They give you a true experience. They know the area, they have good food, or they have a place where you can make your own food in today's case as well. And there's art, there's nature, there's wildlife, there's birds. It is a beautiful, beautiful state, and definitely should be called the land of enchantment that it is. I encourage you to go to the website nmbba.org. That stands for the New Mexico Bed and Breakfast Association, who we do this show with every second Thursday. So you can keep up with us at bigblendradio.com. But today I'm excited because, so many of us are, it's busy. Life is busy. There's the hustle and bustle. There's big cities. Hey, sometimes we just need to have an escape into nature, be out in a remote area, unplug, unwind. And these two inns that we're going to talk about today are the epitome of that. There are also, there's a lot of art that goes with this. So we're very excited about that. I'm going to bring our first guest on the show, Becky O'Connor. Becky, you have been on our show how many times? Welcome back, by the way.
I don't know. I'm not counting, Lisa.
I know.
don't know.
Yeah. And so I want everyone to know about you, the Casitas de Gila, because you are, I think our other guests, you guys are like in the polar opposites of the state, which is cool for everybody to know. But tell us a little bit about where you are so people can get an overview.
We are in the southwest corner of New Mexico, on the Arizona side, not about a half an hour from Silver City, which would be the closest town to us.
Okay, and so you're near like the Gila Cliff Dwellings National Monument,
yes,
the Gila
we're near
National
the Gila
Forest.
Cliff Dwellings. Yes, the Gila National Forest, the Gila Wilderness. It's all basically our backyard.
And it's the very first wilderness area in our country. Thank you, Aldo Leopold. Anyway, just saying.
Yes, absolutely.
And how many acres are you on for people to know?
We have 265 acres here and a creek that runs through our property that has water in it year-round. We're very, very fortunate. We've got a beautiful spot. And we're really fortunate that we're able to share it with people.
And this is a little different because you're guest houses. You're still considered an inn, but you're like people could come in, just bring their food and just chill out in their casita, go hiking. They don't have to, they can really, when I say unplug, unwind, that's what they can do.
Yeah, that's right. They've got their own little casita, which is a little house, and with a kitchen, a full kitchen, and a barbecue grill outside, and a porch, and a picnic area, and incredible views just right from their porch. Just beautiful.
It's awesome. That is awesome. I love it. So I want everyone to know your website so they can go book. Go to casitasdegila.com, and Gila is Gila. So casitasdegila.com. All of this is in the show notes. So wherever you're listening, just look in the show notes and you can link to the Bed and Breakfast Association and also to the individual bed and breakfasts that we're talking with today. We also have Dave Emery joining us, who's one of the owners of Casa del Gavilan. It's a historic inn in Cimarron. And we also have innkeeper Heidi Lewis joining us. So welcome, Dave. How are you?
Just fine. Thank you for the introduction. A pleasure being with you today, Lisa.
Very excited to hear about your inn because it seems like you're also out in the remote lands, right, of New Mexico, but you're like more in the northeast corner?
That's correct. We're right on the front range of the Sangre de Cristo Mountains, about an hour south of the Colorado border in northeastern New Mexico.
There's something magical about those mountains. Every time I hear them in a song, I just like, that's it. I need to go.
Yeah, they are certainly beautiful, and they start right in our backyard and go up to 12,000 feet within just a few miles of us. So it is quite a stunning location.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems that you are remote, right? So when people come in, it's not, there's like no TVs, that kind of thing. You're in history as well. But you can really just let the days go by and just relax.
That's correct. We
Mm,
when people ask just how remote are we, I tell them it's 45 minutes to the nearest traffic light.
I like it. That's my kind of place. I love it. Heidi, welcome to the show. How are you?
Oh, hi. Thank you so much. I'm very, very well and happy to be here and appreciate you introducing us.
Oh, yeah, we're excited about this. So, Heidi, as the innkeeper, can you give us a little overview of the lodgings? And do you do breakfast? I know Becky, everyone can bring their own, but she does stock those refrigerators, those mini fridges in
Yep,
the
that's
guest
correct.
houses, right? Go ahead.
All of our rates include a full breakfast, homemade breakfast. We feature locally sourced eggs and high country meats from Raton, New Mexico, which is less than an hour
Mhm.
away. And we have herbs from our own garden that we use frequently in our breakfast as well. So, yeah, we serve a full breakfast. And then if guests want to use the kitchenette and the guest refrigerator for other meals of things that they bring to the inn, they can do that because we are remote. Sometimes people come here and they don't want to leave for
Mm.
meals. So, but we do recommend that they stop in town and pick up any groceries they might want for other meals besides breakfast. But we do serve full breakfast. We have 6 rooms. Some of the rooms have multiple rooms within them, so we can sleep up to about 16 people. And it's in the middle of, like Dave said, at the foothills of the Sangre de Cristo Mountains, but
Mm.
surrounded by thousands of acres of Philmont Scout Ranch. So it's very protected,
Hmm.
and we have a courtyard right in the center of the casa where people can relax and watch the hummingbirds and look at the
Oh,
flowers that we're growing there and just be in uncommon tranquility surrounded by nature.
it's beautiful. I know your area too. I used to go back and forth from Florence and down into Mexico, and yeah, I mean, if you're going from Colorado to Santa Fe, you're definitely on the way. And you have pronghorn out
Hmm.
there, don't you? You've got beautiful pronghorn
Yeah.
all out in that region.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they're having their babies now. So if you
What?
drive down
Oh,
our mile-long driveway, go
mm.
slowly so that you can see them and avoid them.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Take care of the babies. Dave, I want to go to
Yes.
you on this because can you tell us a little bit about a history of the inn? Because isn't it the House of the Hawk? That's the name for
That's
people to
correct,
understand.
and that's the name that Jack Nairn gave the inn. Originally, it was built as his private residence. Jack and Gertrude Nairn were from Hartford, Connecticut, moved to New
Mm.
Mexico about 1907 for their health. Suppose it was only for a few years to start, but they fell in love with New Mexico, as most of us have, and decided to move here permanently. So they bought the property and started building the house in 1910. They purchased the property, talked to the builder, and then went on a year and a half around the world trip while the home was being built. They had
Hmm.
many famous guests here over the years. Unfortunately, most of those names are lost to history, but it was then started as a bed and breakfast, we believe in the mid 1980s, by the previous owners. Our group purchased the property then in 1994, and we've been rebuilding the inn and the business ever since.
I'm going through the photos on your website, and I want to give everyone the website too. Casa del Gavilan, and that's Gav as in Victor. So Gavilan, Gavilan. When you go in there and you're looking at the rooms, you have such amazing Southwest art. Is some of those the bronze sculptures, are those Remingtons? Because I've seen like
Yes, they
in
are.
some of the areas
They're
we've traveled to. That's amazing.
Yes, they are Remingtons. They were not cast by Remington himself, obviously. All of those are in museums, but we do have Remington bronze sculptures, as well as some sculptures from other artists, as well as original artworks and prints and various pieces of art in the main rooms as well as the guest rooms.
Oh, wow. And the paintings too. I was looking, I recognize the artist, but I don't know who it is. I can't, I know, but I don't know right now,
Hmm.
but I want to. I think the best thing to do is just come over to the bed and breakfast. That's the best thing to do. And you've got a lot of accolades too. So it's looks like you have 4 seasons over there.
You mean as far as being open?
And no, 4 seasons in nature.
Oh,
Like the
yes, we
sea.
do. Certainly. Winters, we are at 7,000 feet, so winter does come along. The last few haven't been too bad, but we'll get a half dozen snowfalls through the course of the winter.
Mm.
Typically, though, we close between just after Thanksgiving until mid-March. Things are usually quiet in Cimarron in the wintertime, so we take advantage of that and give the staff and the casa a little bit of a breather during the off-season.
Mm. And you're also on the New Mexico Register of Cultural Properties too.
That's correct, as well as the National Register of Historic Places as one of the best examples of a residence in Pueblo revival style in the state of New Mexico. This was one of the very first homes built in the Pueblo revival style, which then grew to become the Santa Fe style, but this home is considered one of the forerunners of that particular architectural style.
That's amazing. When you think about it, this history, and when I was talking about at the beginning about this being New Mexico True, right? That hashtag on social media and just that campaign. I think that's this beauty of going to a bed and breakfast is you can be staying in this amazing nature area, this natural surroundings, and then stay in history. And then, we have a completely different experience, even though similar in 2 different parts of the state. We go over to Becky, and Becky, you and your husband actually built the casitas, right? So this
We
is in that
did.
style. Yeah.
We did. We built them 24 years ago in a New Mexico Southwest style, and furnished them with Mexican furniture. So we're giving people, we do our best to give people a New Mexico experience, although it's a New Mexico experience because we're not old. Dave's place sounds absolutely wonderful. And one of the things that we both have in common is, well, there's a few things we have in common. We're both in the middle of nowhere. I am also 45 minutes from the closest town and grocery store, so we also have to tell people to bring their food with them. And the beauty of that for both of us is that the people that stay here, there's no lights, there's no noise, they're truly escaping. But the other thing we have in common is our skies. We have incredibly beautiful dark skies with absolutely no light pollution. And there are many people, unfortunately, in the United States who can't see a night sky. They live in cities. They live somewhere where there's so much light pollution. They can't see anything but the brightest stars. We have had guests here who have told us that this was the first time they'd ever seen the Milky Way. And which
That's
is
amazing.
just astonishing. So we have that for the people that come here, and to help them, we have star charts, and we've got a spotting scope so they can look at the moon or look at Jupiter or Saturn with the scope and just sit outside and enjoy how dark it is. And Casa de Gavilan has the same thing where they are. They're just incredibly beautiful. One of the things that we get here, and one of the groups of people that we market to are astronomers and astrophotographers, to bring their equipment and set up and do their astronomy or their photography where they have a nice place to stay, but they don't have the light pollution that they might have where they live. So we have lots of people that come back every year, or maybe even 2 times a year, to do that.
That is so cool because it is a rare thing for folks, like you're saying, depending on where you live. And I know a lot of people from back east that go to the Southwest. It seems to be an important thing. It's such a different, it is different. We were just, back in Maryland and then went to Oklahoma, and right there, you could tell the difference already.
Yeah.
Like the difference. And both places are beautiful, but it's so nice to get that big open sky. There's something so healthy about the big sky. The big sky.
Expanse is just amazing.
Yeah. Heidi, I wanted to go to you on that. I mean, What are some of the guest comments that you get, that you see kind of the similar comment of when they come and stay for a couple nights, and when because it takes time to declutter our brains from from whatever
Yeah.
life has been
Well,
throwing. Yeah, what are some of the
this is where they
comments?
feel the most relaxed that they have in a long time, at peace. Uncommon tranquility is is something that we hear and say about the place, and just the peace of being surrounded by nature and the quietness at the end due to not having all of the media here. Like, we don't have TVs and phones, so people are, they might be a little bit forced to get out of the habit of being connected, and disconnecting helps them to connect to themselves and to nature.
Disconnecting, I know, isn't that important? You know,
Oh
just
yes,
that
I like to have a
disconnect is,
media-free day once a week
yeah,
if I can too.
yeah. And okay, so do you have, you don't have TVs, right? Do people have Wi-Fi,
We
that
have
kind of
we
thing?
have Wi-Fi here, so guests
Oh,
can
cool.
connect to Wi-Fi to use their devices in whatever way they need to.
Okay.
And then, that's about it. So,
Yeah,
Well,
and
put it
hopefully,
away, people. Put it
we have the
away. Put it
same.
yeah.
away.
Yeah, we've got
We
the
have a lot
same
of
thing
we
here.
have
No
a lot
TV.
of good books here too, because
Yeah.
of the end, not only is the building and the artwork historical, but we also do have a nice library of books collected over the years, and that people
Nice.
contribute in games and puzzles, and
Oh,
there's the nice fireplace in the living room and in the library, so people can hang out and connect with each other as well when they come as groups.
I mean, when is the last time you get to actually hold a real book, To me, that's become a luxury. It's become this, you have a nice cup of something like cocoa or tea or whatever, or a glass of wine. Let's get real. and, and hang out with a book, and be in nature and in peace and tranquility, where you can really
I
get
would
in the
say that
story.
that is common here for people to
Oh,
do that here. That is a daily thing that happens, besides
I
going
like that.
hiking in the area and going sightseeing by car as well. On our website, we have one of the pages that has things to do, and you
Hmm.
can go to that website or that part of the website, and then you can look up things to do, and it has different tours in the area, both driving tours and hikes and other activities that you can do in the area. And of course, we're also happy to help people when they're looking at doing things, because we like to check out all the activities in the area personally ourselves as well. So hopefully we can help guests when they have questions like that. We're learning
Yeah.
more and more all the time. Of course, Dave is the one who's the expert. He's showing
Ah,
myself and the other innkeeper all around. So we're learning more and more about the area activities on a daily basis.
you have a huge amount just I mean, you could spend a ton of time, because even how close you are to Colorado, you're not far from Santa Fe. Even to me, for someone who's into nature, art, and history, you guys are like the perfect hub of,
Oh, thank you.
tranquility, but to sleep in there, and Becky, that's, similar to you guys, where you've got all this nature, but you also have art. I want to bring up, because Becky, you and your husband are both, what, you make jewelry. He's an artist, right? You both have a
Yep.
gallery
That's right.
on
We do.
site.
We have a gallery, and we've got the art of local people in the area here. The gallery is really quite popular with our guests.
That's
So,
cool. I
yeah,
didn't know
it
you
gives us
had local
something to do.
people. I thought it was
Yeah.
just you guys out there in the middle of
No,
nowhere.
no, no. We got other local people's work too in here. We have there's pottery and gourd masks and glass and all kinds of stuff in
Wow.
there.
Wow, that
Yeah.
is awesome for people to go and experience. So when people check in, I know you have Wi-Fi, no TV, so here's a similarity again. But
Yep.
you've got mountains in your backyard too,
Yep.
and you
We
got a
do.
little
We
snow.
we have we have Mogollon Baldy, which goes up to 12,000 feet. The Mogollon Range. We have the extreme lower end of the Rockies here, in the
Okay.
mountain ranges that we have. So so for people that want to hike, there's low level hiking and there's high level hiking, whatever they're capable of doing, and 7 miles on our property itself.
Wow. Okay. So you guys really do have similarities, which is so cool, isn't it? And at the same time, completely different. And that's again like the beauty of staying at bed and breakfast inns and really just having that authentic experience. I want to go back over to you, Dave. When we look at the history of the inn and then the surroundings, are you getting people that are booking in for even the history of Cimarron? And weren't you guys in a movie? Like, what wasn't the town in a movie once? Am I remembering
There was
something?
a film photographed here in town a couple of years ago. The name escapes me at the moment, but Cimarron is one of those notorious Western towns that has a long history going back to the mid 1800s of gunfights and land grant wars and
Cool.
Clay Allison and Billy the Kid and all sorts of other legends of the Old West. You can't go through this part of New Mexico without going through Cimarron, so many of those people of the day ended up here at one time or another, and we do have a lot of guests that are following that history or following the Santa Fe Trail, which runs right across our
Oh,
front yard, and
no way.
various parts of the West like that all kind of revolved through Cimarron at one time or another. We're only about 5 miles out of town, so guests will come out and take the walking tour of the town of Cimarron and see some of the history that way, or visit the Old Mill Museum, which has a lot of artifacts dating back to the 1800s about the early life in the day. But a
Wow.
lot of history happened in such a small town.
Wow. And you bring up Billy the Kid and Silver City, New Mexico, right outside Becky's front door there. Well, just down the road, I should say. There's actually like a replica of his cabin right outside the visitor center.
There is, and he spent some time down here too. I think supposedly his mother's buried in the cemetery down here, something like that. Billy got around.
And you had Madame Millie too. She was
Oh
notoriously
yeah.
cool. Madame Millie, someone has to write a song about. There's got to be a song about her. Madame
I'm
Millie.
sure there is one somewhere. There is a book about her.
Our friend Wally Lauder
notorious.
our friend Wally Lauder, the singer-songwriter, has moved back to Silver City recently. I'm going to email him after this and say, you need to write a Madame Millie song. I demand it. But she did a lot for the community. And, she was a lady of the night, but she did a lot of raising money for schools and she did a lot for girls, didn't she? Just in education. I think she was big on that. So that history is cool. And then you've also got the indigenous people, that history in your backyard, Becky. I think that's pretty prominent.
The Membranos. Yes, we do. We have a lot of ancient history, and then it goes back way beyond that as well. There's a lot of history. New Mexico is just an incredible state. The history is phenomenal for anybody. I mean, right here in Gila, we have what used to be the headquarters of a ranch that owned the land all the way over to Arizona and all the way down to Texas.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
They were cattle barons, and complete
wasn't
with
Geronimo,
all of the.
Wasn't Geronimo born there?
Yes. Geronimo and Mangus Coloradus. Yep. Yeah.
He was born there. I've got that plaque that outside the visitor center of Gila Cliff Dwellings. And then I've been to Fort Bowie in southern Arizona, southeast Arizona, just down the road from you. Everything's just down the road from me. It's what happens when you travel full time across the country. Everything's just down the road. But we've seen the gravesite of his grandson, great grandson, in Fort Bowie, and that's where Cochise was captured. So that's something I do want to say again of this interesting connection between both inns. You've got Geronimo, right? And then you're connected to Southeast Arizona when people are going to Saguaro National Park, Fort Bowie, Chiricahua National Monument. You've got the Gila Cliff Dwellings National Monument. And I think you're also people going to White Sands National Park. And
White Sands is actually, it's a good 3 hours away from us. But it's right down in this area too.
Well, most people that are park travelers, they do a route. It's like we're going to do White Sands and we're going to go to Gila Cliff Dwellings. But then you've also got the Continental Divide, right? Isn't that part of
Yep.
the
Yep, and
wow.
the Continental Divide Trail goes through this area as well.
The catwalk, that's also,
Yep,
is that near you?
and yeah, that's about.
I love
Well,
it.
we're halfway between Silver City and the catwalk. That's our location, so it's very convenient. The catwalk is a great hike, built by the CCC in the 30s, destroyed many times by flooding and rebuilt every time by the Forest Service.
Amazing.
So
Amazing.
beautiful hike.
Awesome. I want to go over to you, Heidi, in regards to the natural parts, like what we're talking about is definitely going to be the history we're mentioning, right? And Billy the Kid. We should touch on the Native American history too in your area, but in regards to hiking and nature, can people kind of step outside the door and hike where you are, or do they go to specific areas to go hike?
Both. So right here at the end, we have 2 trails that I could recommend just for like very short meanderings to go watch the sunrise, to watch the sunset. Right here, where one is like very even ground that almost any ability could hike. Another is a slight uphill to go sit at some nice chairs that we have that overlook the property. And then a third trail is going to be a little bit more of an outing, 2.5 miles. It goes up into our upper pasture and down into the lower pasture and back to the inn. And then you can go to Cimarron Canyon State Park for hiking as long as you want. There's trails that go from anywhere from 6 miles round trip to, backpacking overnight. And again, on our website, we have the area activities portion that has trail guides on that page, and you can download PDFs of all the different trail opportunities that are in our area, which are numerous. And then besides hiking, if someone is not into hiking, but they have a stout vehicle for driving tours that go on to some of the back roads in the area, there are plenty of those kind of trips too, like overlanding with a 4-wheel drive. So there's plenty of all of that stuff to do, and as well as places to go out to eat and places to go fishing, breweries, wineries. It just depends on how far away you want to go from the inn for the day, but you could stay busy here as I am for the whole season. Whenever I have a time to spare, I'm out exploring the area in all those different ways.
And I think it's so cool that you're on the Santa Fe Trail too. I mean, that's just such a rich history, and just the birding. I want to go to the birding. We have to go to the birds because it's so interesting that
we have
both.
Lots of birds here too.
Yeah, I wonder about the species now between like the San Sangre de Cristo Mountains, and then you've got the Rocky Mountains over where Becky is, the foothills of that. That's got to be interesting for you guys as a migratory pathway. You've got to be part of that, right? With birds like, I'm bailing off the mountain.
Oh yeah.
I'm going south. It's cold.
We even keep binoculars out for the guests, and we have like a little tick sheet where people can write down the birds that they see and the dates they see them. And I'm just looking at a sheet like that from this past month. I have pinyon jays, Lewis's woodpecker, broad-tailed hummingbirds, black-chinned hummingbirds, calliope. How do you say that, Dave?
Calliope.
Calliope hummingbird.
Calliope. Don't say calliope. That's my. Don't say. Is it calliope?
Oh no. Okay.
Calliope.
I'm going to mess everybody up. Calliope. No, it's calliope.
We looked it up ourselves because we were. Yeah.
No, but that's actually a big
that,
deal.
We found out that hummingbird is the smallest bird that's native to the U.S. and Canada, just by preparing for this interview. So thank you for that. And spotted goldfinches, wild turkeys,
cool.
all kinds of things.
The hummingbirds,
of the
I didn't
ones.
know that the broadbilled went all the way up there at all, because
Apparently
broadbills
so.
normally in south, southeast, southern, when we lived in Tucson, we had those, and then you got the ones with the the broad beak kind of thing. Like, oh my gosh, that's
Yeah.
amazing. And Becky,
Well,
I
I
know
think
we've talked about
sometimes,
this. Go ahead. Go ahead.
sometimes when there are fires, although that's not the case this year, but sometimes when there are fires, you're going to get birds
Mhm.
migrating or moving to an area where they're safe, and so you might see more species because of that. Although that's
Yeah.
not the case right now, but that can happen, and I've seen it happen.
Well, we've seen it in just in regards to the change of climate, right? Climate change is happening. I mean, we're in places that normally don't have this happen, and then it does. It like snow in places that's not supposed to, and we're going, why are we here? So um it we're seeing that change just as we travel the country. You know, it's interesting when what you're doing by documenting the birds is such a cool thing, because it used to be that you could tell the time of year just by what birds showed up. Like I had a friend who had a farm in Fallbrook, California, in North San Diego, and March, middle of March, no matter what, here come the Orioles. Well, that changed. So it is changing a lot, like you're saying, and there's all of these environmental changes, and so it's kind of interesting because people are getting birds that they don't normally see. So that's kind of like on a nice side for us to see that. But I want to go to Becky. I know we've talked about birds before.
Mhm.
Obviously, you get roadrunners and thrashers. I know you get thrashers, but you get hummingbirds too. Do you get the
We do. We
broadtails?
have the hummingbirds and the black-chin, the broadtail. There are others around as well. Exactly which ones are dependent on your altitude. And we have grosbeaks, and we have cardinals, lots of cardinals. I think this is pretty much their extent of their range. They're kind of listed as rare here, but we have plenty of them.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
we have lots of birds here too. We've been telling our guests to there's an app for your smartphone called Merlin, which Cornell University puts out, where you can it'll record the sound of the birds and tell you what you're hearing.
That's cool.
So when we get people who have limited mobility and prefer to just sit on their porch, they can listen and see what's out there. And we encourage our guests that are birders to put their lists up on eBird, so to share them with other people.
I love eBird.
Too.
And
Yeah.
I also encourage people to do Seek. That's a cool app. iNaturalist is the website, iNaturalist.org, through National Geographic and all kinds of agencies got together, and you're part in, like with eBird, which is awesome. I love, and like you're saying, all through Cornell, you're part of citizen science when you're doing that. You're helping researchers find out what is happening, where are birds going. Like, why does Becky have cardinals? They were supposed to just stop in Tucson, but no, they knew Becky has like the most awesome property. So they're going there, and the hummingbirds are saying, hey, we're going up. We're going to go up and see Dave and Heidi over at Casa del Gavilan. I love this. They're like, hey, we're going.
The birds are smart.
They know.
The birds are smart.
Yeah, they are. What's breakfast like? I have to go there. I mean, we were talking about wine and breweries, but I want to know about food. Heidi, what's for breakfast?
Well, it depends on who's cooking for the day, but one of my specialties that I like to make is called triple B pancakes, and the B's are blueberry, buttermilk, blue corn, and that's because I'm in New Mexico. If I was up in New England, that would be buckwheat instead, but we're here in New Mexico, so it's blueberry, buttermilk, blue corn, and we always serve that with butter and maple syrup. And my co-innkeeper, Polly, she likes to make a French toast casserole with pecans and cinnamon and brioche bread, or a Mexican scramble with black beans and homemade salsa. And like I mentioned before, we always have herbs from our garden, and locally sourced eggs and high country meats from Raton.
Okay, so before you all go, now that you've made me very hungry, let's talk about one thing that everyone should experience that we haven't talked about. So one thing, so let's go to you, Becky. Again, everyone, Becky's website is casitasdegila.com. Again, the links are all in the show notes. Becky, what is one thing we haven't talked about that people need to know about for coming out to see you?
Oh my goodness. I don't know.
Wildflowers. I'm going to say wildflowers.
Oh, well, yes. This year has been absolutely incredible for wildflowers and every other blooming thing because of the amount of rain we had last summer, last fall, and last winter. It's beautiful here right now. Absolutely gorgeous.
You know, I really miss cactus. Nancy and I saw like we were in Oklahoma for a couple of days and we saw a blooming prickly pear and we both stopped and we're like, behold the prickly pear. It's like the guy running around going, there's a double rainbow. We got a little silly. We're like, behold the prickly pear bloom. It's a prickly pear blossom.
They're blooming right now. They're blooming right now, and so are the cholla cactus.
Oh, I
which
love
have a magenta colored flower. Yes.
Oh my
and
gosh.
the pincushion, the little tiny pincushion cactus, which is just a little tiny thing. So they're all blooming right now, and within the next couple of weeks, all of the yuccas will be blooming.
No,
and the yucca is the state flower.
I didn't know that. I should know that, but I didn't know that. Now you're making me homesick. That's it. You're making me homesick. Okay, Dave, I'm going over to you because now I've got flowers. We've got breakfast. This is a dangerous conversation for me. I'll just get back in my car and start driving west again.
Both ends are ready for your visit anytime.
I'm all ready. I am ready. I'm ready. Dave,
I have something to interject.
Oh, go ahead.
Because I thought that Dave was trying to not say something. So I was going to say something. But go ahead, Dave.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Oh.
No, I was just saying both ends are ready to have you anytime you're ready to get in the car, Lisa.
Well, we're all ready. But Dave, I wanted to ask, what is your one thing that people should know about that we haven't touched on?
Oh, it's just such a beautiful area to get out and be a part of nature and the wildlife. We have deer and elk in the area.
You have elk? Okay, wait. See, I didn't know that. Now that's really dangerous for me. I want to see the elk.
Yes, and we know where to send the guests. We can't always promise the elk will be there. The elk tend to show up when they feel like showing up, but we do have elk. Occasionally they'll visit the property. Occasionally have a bobcat, rarely a mountain lion, but we do have a lot of wildlife in the area, and Cimarron Canyon State Park is just a treasure to be able to see some of that wildlife as well as the Cimarron River comes down through the canyon.
Okay.
A lot of areas around here just to get yourself lost in.
Oh, I'm liking this elk. And I have actually, Becky, I know you have elk in your area too. What Silver City I know does. Okay.
Yeah.
This is cool. This is very cool, everyone. And Roadrunners, don't forget the state bird. So Heidi, I'm going back to you because I know you want to interject. Yes. You've got something. She's holding on to it. She's holding on tight. She's like, come on, get to me. Get to me.
We recommend guests arrive during the daylight here because one, it's easier to find in the daylight, and two, you don't want to miss any of the scenery.
So it's going to be
that's true. A daylight arrival would be good for us as well.
Yeah, right. And bring your camera. And if you don't have one, Dave is a great photographer, and you can get some of his photography here at the end.
Oh, well done. Well done, Heidi. That was a good one. She got it. She got it. She's the innkeeper. She knows. So everyone, casadelgavilon.com. Both websites for the inns are in the show notes, as well as the New Mexico Bed and Breakfast Association. Go to their website. They have an amazing array of information, stories, articles to help you plan a nice blog, a beautiful way to just search all the different inns for where you're going through in the land of enchantment, New Mexico. So stay New Mexico true. So go check out all these inns, and the innkeepers, they're the best. Nancy and I, as we travel, we all pet sit as we travel the country full time, but which is not a money thing. It's just so we can actually do our interviews with internet. But when we're not doing that, we do stay in bed and breakfast because the innkeepers know they're like their own visitor bureau. They are like the welcome center of a community. They know everybody. They know what you want to do. You tell them, they'll say, oh, well, you need to do this hike. Oh, you're not feeling so well with your knee? this hike over here will be better for you. They know those things. They know if you're trying to find a specific rug or a piece of art, they know. The innkeepers are in the know. So basically they are Gossip Central. Is that right? I'm just saying, you know,
I like to
everything
say
that's
That's
going
right.
on.
We are the best concierges ever.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Well, thank you all for joining us. It's been a real pleasure having you on the show. Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks,
Thank
Lisa.
you, Lisa.
All righty.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Lisa.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
summer.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. BigBlendRadio.com is the website to go, and we're here talking about New Mexico bed and breakfast every second Thursday. Gracious hosts, unique lodging, and tasty cuisine. New Mexico bed and breakfasts are New Mexico true. Our innkeepers are as special as New Mexico, and we're sharing their stories. Read about them and plan your trip at nmbba.org.